It is Thursday, December 9th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. So it's been a very busy day, busy news day. So I was covering these stories. We're going to deal with a story I was already planning on dealing with. I had to change around the topics for today's show a little bit. Um, so many people got the news later today that former Empire actor Jussie Smollett was found guilty on 5 out of 6 counts dealing with disorderly conduct. And this stemmed from the January 2019 incident where he, according to the conviction in the trial today, he staged this event and paid two Nigerian actors to beat him up. He was convicted on 5 out of 6 counts today. We're going to talk about this 6 counts of disorderly conduct. And, many people were suspicious of his story from the beginning. It sounded kind of far-fetched to me, but I wanted to hear the facts and hear them out, things like this. And as more information came out, it sounded more and more far-fetched and sounded more and more like a hoax. And as things continued to progress, it got even worse. So we're going to talk about that on today's show. We see he's found guilty on 6 counts of disorderly conduct, 1 count of telling a police officer he was a hate crime victim, also a count of telling an officer he was a battery victim of battery, 1 count of telling a detective he was a hate crime victim, 1 count of telling a detective he was a battery victim, 1 count of telling a detective he was a battery victim again, and then the 6th count of telling a second detective he was a battery victim. He was found not guilty. Okay, Jussie Smollett. So we're going to break this down now. Most legal experts say he probably will not receive any prison time behind this, but this just and one of the things that really inflamed people is that you had celebrities who came out to support him. And I remember Lee Daniels, the executive producer of Empire, and I'm not a fan of Empire by any means. It was a horrible show if you understand stereotypes and propaganda and agendas and things like this. I was not a fan of Empire at all, but I don't want anybody to be victimized. So Lee Daniels put out a video when it happened in support of Jussie Smollett and how disgusting the attack was, things like this. And then he said that he alleged that the attackers wore a Trump MAGA hat and then, brought Trump into it. And I loathe and detest Donald Trump and domestic terrorists, of course. I mean, I warned people on this show month after month after month during the 2016 election that Donald Trump has to be stopped. But at the same time, when you start making stuff up and then you bring Trump into it and things like this, and then they had a noose and some bleach and it was freezing cold outside in Chicago, so, just like when white people lie and file false police reports and say, African-American person did this and blah, 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 come to find out the white person's lying. What I'm saying is there has to be one standard across the board that everybody's held to. Has to be one standard across the board that everybody's held to. Okay. White people shouldn't make stuff up and lie and file false police reports. and lie about incidents about us, and we shouldn't do the same thing and lie about them. I mean, if you wanted to stage something, why don't you just have two black men whip your behind and say it was two black guys that did it? I mean, so we'll talk about this some on today's show. One of the stories I was going to deal with, we'll deal with on our Sunday show because we have two hours on Sunday. The other story that I said I was going to do that I'm going to deal with, this is a follow-up to the story we did back in September. Okay. And this deals with critical race theory, and this deals with the Moms for Liberty organization, the Moms for Liberty organization. And there was I saw a story. I saw a few stories dealing with this. Now, back in September, we had this. We talked about the article from CNN. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort because they're white. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort because they're white. And this dealt with the organization Moms for Liberty and the Williamson County School District, And let me pull this article up here. This was an article from CNN back in September 29th, 2021. And some of you all may remember this story. Okay. Another crazy story dealing with critical race theory and, you know, people being afraid of Dr. King and books about Dr. King and all types of things like that. This deals with a woman. This deals with a woman named Robin Stenman, who is the leader of Moms Against Liberty, Moms for Liberty. And they filed back in June of 2021. They filed a 11-page complaint based upon the Tennessee anti-critical race theory bill that was passed. And they're claiming that some books that are used in elementary school are violating the critical race theory ban. Okay. Now, most of these people can't tell you what critical race theory is. We've dealt with that before here on this show. Most of them can't tell you what critical race theory is. There was an article from BET.com and also one from Salon.com. But Tennessee education officials reject complaint that MLK book violates state anti-critical race theory law. Okay, that MLK book, Martin Luther King book, violates the Tennessee state anti-critical race theory law. There was also an article from CNN that we dealt with a few months ago. We'll talk about that as well on the other side of the break. So the Tennessee Department of Education declined recently to investigate a right-wing mothers group's complaint that the curriculum in their school district violates a new state law aimed at banning critical race theory in classrooms. The newspaper, The Tennessean reports. Now, Robin Stenman, who's chair of Moms for Liberty, which is a crazy right-wing mothers group. Okay. They allege that they filed an 11-page complaint in June of 2021, and they alleged that the wit and wisdom curriculum used by Williamson County schools there in Tennessee, they allege that it has a heavily biased agenda on how it teaches about racism in America and the civil rights movement. The group has a problem with books adapted for young learners on subjects like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington, 1963, and the autobiography of Ruby Bridges, who faced a white mob that attempted to bar the then 6-year-old African-American girl from integrating an all-white New Orleans elementary school in 1960. So we talked about this back in September, how crazy it was. They filed a 11-page complaint in June trying to get these books pulled from the schools. The Tennessee Department of Education declined to investigate this nonsense. We're going to deal with this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Stand by. All right, back from break in 4 minutes. Everybody stand by. I got to get ready for this next segment. Stand by, everybody. Back from break in 3 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 1 minute. Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, December 9th, 2021. And we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about some of the topics on today's show, and we talked about briefly a lead story here dealing with Jussie Smollett being convicted on 5 counts of disorderly conduct. The 6th count of disorderly conduct he was found not guilty of. We're going to clip 1 here in just a second. Shakita from NBC Nightly News. So cue that up, please. All right, and then so we'll discuss those 2 stories, and then also today is the birthday of one John Elroy Sanford. John Elroy Sanford, one of the greatest entertainers in the history of the world and the Milky Way galaxy. John Elroy Sanford is better known professionally as Red Fox. Today is Red Fox's birthday. He was born in December 9th, 1922. And we're going to talk some about Red Fox as well. Now, also December 8th was the birthday of one Clero Wilson Jr., better known professionally as Flip Wilson. December 8th was Flip Wilson's birthday. Also, December 8th was the birth date of one of the greatest entertainers in the history of the world. He was known as Samuel George Davis Jr., better known as Sammy Davis Jr. So we're going to talk about all three in the last segment of this show as well. And we have a special clip from the Flip Wilson show from 1974 with Flip Wilson and Red Fox. All right, now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects your own behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or a woman's thoughts, you control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. All right, I want to go to go back to the first story here. Let's look quickly here at the we're going to look at the article from New York Times. Then we're going to this clip here from NBC News, and then there's also a good segment on the Black News Channel today as well, dealing with Jussie Smollett. And then there's a good article from Associated Press explaining the charges against Jussie Smollett as well. All right, now let's go here to Jussie Smollett found guilty of reporting on fake hate crime. He was convicted of filing a false police report in 2019, claiming he had been the victim of a racist and homophobic attack. The jury deliberated for more than 9 hours. And they weren't buying a lot of this stuff. I remember, now, this whole case, let me just back up for a quick minute. This whole case kind of divided the African-American community somewhat as well. I remember you had diehard fans of Jussie and the TV show Empire that was believing him. I remember you had African-American women who were behind him and believing him, even though the story was getting more and more bizarre and the police were doing investigations and things like this. I remember on the TV show Sister Circle Live that's been canceled. It was on TV One, Sister Circle Live, with Sean Ali and Trina Braxton, and you had Selena Johnson, singer Selena Johnson, and they had the comedian actor Brandon T. Jackson on the show. We know Brandon T. Jackson's from Detroit, okay? And Brandon T. Jackson was breaking down facts of the case and showing how Jussie's story was a hoax. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, these guys just happen to know where you are. It's like below zero weather in Chicago, 2 o'clock in the morning. You go into a subway. These guys just happen to know when you are. They just happen to have a noose and some bleach with them. Okay, and they just happen to catch you. Okay, and they know you. They recognize you. All this just coincidence. Okay, so he's explaining it to the sisters, and they don't want to believe it because they're friends of Jussie, and they want to believe him. And it's like, no, sister, he's lying. Okay, so it kind of caused a division as well in the community. But let's look at this here, and we're going to clip one in just a second, Shakita. A jury in Chicago found the actor Jussie Smollett guilty on Thursday, December 9th, of falsely reporting to the police that he had been the victim of a racist and homophobic assault in 2019. Now, these are both very serious allegations. Now, to me, this is not something to play with. Okay, these are both very serious allegations. I have a problem when white people lie on us and file false police reports. Okay, and I have a problem when white people lie and file false police reports on us. And I have a problem when we lie and file false police reports, period, whether it's white, African American, what have you, especially when you're trying to galvanize support from the African American community to rally around you. Okay, I have a problem with that. Okay, now he ain't like he's R. Kelly. I mean, it's not like I'm not saying he's done the worst thing in the history of the world or something like that, Jussie. Okay. I ain't saying he should be in prison for 20 years or what have you. You know, he probably will not get prison time. He'll probably get, because he doesn't have a previous criminal record, so he'll probably get community service, things like this. But we have to say, look, you can't do this, especially when you do interviews in the media. He went on Good Morning America, did the interview, which then put even more pressure on the police in Chicago to keep investigating, because you're on national TV doing an interview talking about this hate crime and this homophobic attack that happened to you in Chicago. So a jury in Chicago found Jussie Smollett guilty on Thursday of falsely reporting to the police that he had been the victim of a racist and homophobic assault in 2019, an attack that investigators concluded was a hoax directed by the actor himself. With its finding, with its finding, after more than 9 hours of deliberation, the 12-person jury indicated it had chosen to believe the accounts of two brothers who testified that Smollett had asked them to mildly injure him as part of a publicity stunt. As part of the other thing was, people were saying, okay, so pictures of Jussie with a cut over on his cheek after the beating, and it was like, okay, these two big guys beat you up, and that's all you got. That's like the only bruises you have. That didn't add up either. Now, Mr. Smollett, wearing a dark gray suit and a blue shirt, sat upright in his chair, hands clasped, staring directly at the jury. Just after the verdict was read, Daniel K. Webb, the special prosecutor who handled the case, said afterward that Jussie Smollett only made matters worse by continuing to stand by his account at trial. Quote, "This jury worked so hard," Daniel K. Webb, special prosecutor, said, and for Mr. Smollett to come up before them and lie for hours and hours and hours, that really compounded his misconduct, end quote. Now, the case dated back to the frigid early hours of January 29th, 2019. Keep in mind, Donald Trump was in the White House then, which brought in a whole nother dynamic to this that inflamed a lot of African Americans. The case dated back to the frigid early hours of January 29th, 2019, when Jussie Smollett, known for his role on the Fox music industry drama Empire, told the police that he had been the victim of a hate crime near his apartment building in Chicago. Smollett said one of his attackers even yelled, "This is MAGA country." I never even heard, I've heard a whole lot of, I haven't even heard that phrase before. This is MAGA country. Maybe they do say it, outside of NASCAR races or something like that. But this is the first time I heard that African Americans said, some white people yelled, "This is MAGA country" to them. But okay, I get maybe it does exist. I don't know. Now, his account captured the attention of a politically polarized nation concerned with rising hate crime reports and the persistent threat of racism, which were like legitimate reports and legitimate concerns that we had and still do, especially after the January 6th, 2021 domestic terrorist insurrection, instigated by the traitor-in-chief Benedict Donald. But public support for Jussie Smollett quickly evaporated when investigators came to the conclusion 3 weeks later that he had staged the attack on himself. We're going to continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. All right, if you like this type of information, you can support the African. You can visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online courses that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And also, we do that Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, in just a second here. I updated the dates here. Let me refresh the screen. Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then also on Sundays, I teach ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Stand by, back from break in 3 minutes. So we have a special discount right now. You can register for both classes for only $70. They're regularly $130 each. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and we have the information there. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. All right, stand by. How's everybody doing? Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Turn on live notifications so you know when we go live. Back from break in 2 minutes. All right, stand by.
On the African History Network show, we deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. There's laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation. 910, the Superstation, the oldest radio station in town since 1922.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, December 9th, 2021, and we are live. We'll go back to the story here dealing with Jussie Smollett being convicted on 5 out of 6 counts here in just a second. Want to remind you that you can still register for the online courses I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. On Saturdays, it's a 10-week online course that I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Each class we go through and analyze approximately 10 years, 10-year period of time of history. We start in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase, and we deal with historical events that lead up to the Civil War taking place. And we deal with the Civil War, Reconstruction in 1865 to 1877, Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Great Migration, Civil Rights Movement, the Black Power movement. We do this Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the sessions, we do the sessions live. All of them are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. The class is regularly $130. It's on sale now, $60. We have a special bundle pack where you can register for both classes that I teach on the weekend. Register for both of them for $70. Okay, so and as soon as you register for this class, you can start watching. You can watch last week's class. Then the second one I teach is on Sundays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We do this also 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do 1,000 years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We deal with ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, the Nile Valley region of Africa, Ghana, Songhai, Mali. We deal with 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. This class is regularly $130 on sale. Now it's on sale $60, but you can register for both of them for only $70. So visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and we'll see you in class this weekend. Okay, let's go back to the story we were talking about at the top of the show. Actor Jussie Smollett, who was on the TV show Empire, was found guilty in the Chicago court today on 5 out of 6 counts of on the charges. Okay, and these were once again the charges, disorderly conduct charges. If we look here from the Associated Press, once again the charges were one count of telling a police officer he was the victim of a hate crime. He was found guilty. One count of telling an officer he was a battery victim of battery. One count of telling a detective he was a victim of a hate crime. One count of telling a detective he was a victim of battery. One count of telling a detective again he was a battery victim, and on the 6th count of telling a second detective he was an aggravated battery victim, he was found not guilty. All right, so I want to go back to quickly here this piece from the New York Times. Jussie Smollett found guilty of reporting a fake hate crime. And then we're going to go to this clip here from NBC News here in just a second. Now, Chicago officials, let's back up. Okay, so his account captured the attention of a politically polarized nation, concerned with rising hate crime reports and the persistent threat of racism. But public support for Jussie Smollett quickly evaporated when investigators came to the conclusion 3 weeks later that he had staged the attack on himself. Now, Chicago officials, upset at the amount of police work that was spent on the case, have sued Jussie Smollett to recoup some of the city's costs. Okay, they spent like $130,000 on the investigation. They were similarly critical in 2019 when the office of the city's top prosecutor, Kim Foxx, who early on had recused herself from the case, citing a potential conflict, quietly dropped the charges in exchange for Jussie Smollett's agreement to forfeit his $10,000 bond and perform community service. The case was later revived by Special Prosecutor Daniel K. Webb, who reviewed that decision by Kimberly Foxx and ultimately announced that a grand jury had charged Jussie Smollett with 6 counts of felony disorderly conduct. Now, this is a class 4 felony, so it's a low-level felony, okay? Once again, most likely he won't do any prison time because he doesn't have a criminal record. Now, Jussie Smollett was convicted on 5 counts on Thursday relating to conversations he had with the police just after the attack. He was acquitted on the 6th count. The actor faces up to 3 years in prison. The judge did not set a sentencing date and released him on bond. His defense team said that he will appeal. They said, "We remain confident that we're going to come back and he's going to be vindicated." Okay. So I want to go to, let's go to clip number 1, Shakita. This is from NBC Nightly News.
Verdict as we come on the air in the closely watched Jussie Smollett trial. A Chicago jury tonight finding the former Empire actor guilty on 5 of 6 counts related to lying to police about being the victim of a hate-driven attack in 2019. The verdict coming on the second day of deliberations. Rahema Ellis has the breaking news for us. Rahema?
Lester, Jussie Smollett stood with his arms crossed and he was stoic as the jury read the verdict. As you point out, he was found guilty of 5 of 6 counts, not guilty on a charge of reporting a false aggravated battery to police. But it was nearly 3 years ago that he was facing 6 felony counts of reporting a fake anti-gay racist attack on himself and lying to police about it. On the witness stand, he had always insisted on his innocence, saying there was no hoax, but the prosecution had told jurors that he had orchestrated a hate crime, paying 2 brothers to stage the attack. Smollett now could face up to 3 years in prison. It's expected his lawyers will appeal, but it's not over with that. The city of Chicago is suing him in civil court for $130,000, the cost of the police investigation.
Okay, so that was from NBC Nightly News from Thursday, December 9th, 2021. You can check out that clip at NBC.com. Jussie Smollett found guilty in hate crime hoax trial. Jussie Smollett found guilty in hate crime hoax trial. We're going to clip 2, Shakita from the Black News Channel. Now, I want to go to this second clip here. They talked about this also today on the Black News Channel. Was it The World Tonight? And they gave some legal analysis as well. Let's go to clip 2, Shakita.
The breaking news at this hour is the case of Jussie Smollett. A jury has reached its verdict in the trial of the former Empire actor. He was charged with 5 counts, or 6 counts actually, involving staging an anti-gay racist attack on himself nearly 3 years ago, and then lying to police about it. The jury finds actor Jussie Smollett guilty on 5 counts of staging this hoax and lying to police. I'll read you the counts real quickly. Count 1, which he was found guilty of, accuses him of telling responding Chicago police officer Mohammed Beg that he was the victim of a hate crime, claiming 2 attackers put a noose around his neck. Count 2, which he was found guilty of, refers to Smollett telling the same officer he was a victim of a battery, describing attackers beating and then pouring bleach on him. Counts 3 and 4 are when Smollett made the same claims, but to a different officer, Kimberly Murray, later that morning at just about 6 a.m. And then count 5 accuses Smollett of again telling Murray that he was the victim of a battery. And count 6, which he was found not guilty of, refers to Smollett reporting on February 14th, 2019 to Detective Robert Graves that he'd been a victim of an aggravated battery. We've got some great people here to talk about this and give us some legal insight, as well as social justice and what it means to the community at large. Joining me is BNC Chief Legal Correspondent Laura McNeil and legal analyst Xavier Pope. Laura, I want to begin with you right now, because as you look at the history of this case, you go back to Kim Foxx. What role did she play in this case? And if she perhaps had done the right thing and not be enamored with the celebrity of Jussie Smollett, we might not be here today.
You know, absolutely. This verdict hurts Kim Foxx's career, because what it does is it corroborates what the special prosecutor Webb said. He said that she did not uphold her duty, her oath to serve the people of Chicago, not to serve Jussie Smollett. And the fact that she tossed the charges out, she was accused of keeping in communication with family members, specifically Jussie Smollett's sister. And they said she was too close to the case, too close personally to the family, and that clouded her judgment. And the fact that after she tossed out these charges, you have a special prosecutor not only come in and recharge Jussie Smollett, but to get a guilty verdict on 5 out of the 6 counts. And so this also, on a bigger picture, speaks volumes about the importance of addressing prosecutorial misconduct. Anytime we see, as we saw with the prosecutor as well, in the Ahmaud Arbery killing with the Greg and Travis McMichaels and Roddy Bryant, initially, again, they weren't charged for weeks. They were allowed to go home.
Okay, we're coming up here on the break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. Now, some people want to mention Emmett Till. Now, it's interesting you mentioned that, because we dealt with the the 16-page Department of Justice memo that came out on December 6th, okay, about closing the investigation in Emmett Till. I read the entire 16-page memo. We dealt with that here on this show for about an hour and a half and took you through step by step. So if you missed our December 7th show, go back and watch it, because I went through step by step the report and showed why they could not bring charges against anybody 66 years after the trial that took place in 1955, and the statute of limitations for perjury is between 5 to 7 years. So statute of limitations on the trial ran out about 58 years ago. But go back and watch that show. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, stand by. Who did not read, and also we dealt with a number of articles dealing with the investigation, New York Times, CNN, NBC. So hopefully you went and read those articles. Hopefully you went and read the 16-page report from the Department of Justice that I went through on my show on Tuesday, December 7th. And as I said before, you have some evidence that would convict anybody. One, what is the evidence? Two, have you delivered the evidence to the Department of Justice? Let's see, because I re-aired the show a few times. We rebroadcast these shows. So here's the link. You can go watch the entire show. I provide all the documentation, because proper documentation ends all conversation. We went through the Department of Justice report. We went through their investigation. We went through the claims from author Timothy Tyson, who wrote the book that came out in 2017, The Blood of Emmett Till. He made allegations that Carolyn Bryant Dunham recanted her testimony based upon 2 interviews he did with her in 2008. Question I asked, well, if you had evidence she recanted her testimony in 2008, why'd you go to the authorities then? Why'd you wait to 2017, a month before your book comes out, to announce that you got this smoking gun evidence? We talked about all that Tuesday. That's all in the Department of Justice report. So I encourage people to read it and watch the show. I just posted a link there. Go watch that show. Then we can have a conversation. All right. Back from break in 3 minutes. Stand by. Okay, we're going to squeeze in this story here dealing with the crazy right-wing moms. Okay, this is a BET article and salon.com. For breaking 2 minutes. Stand by. Back from breaking 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. Okay, right before the break, we were talking about the story dealing with Jussie Smollett being found guilty on 5 counts of disorderly conduct. Let's go back to this clip here from the Black News Channel.
After they gunned down an unarmed Ahmaud Arbery. And so this is no different. Kim Foxx is just as guilty. And what I mean by that is she has a duty to represent the people. And what this verdict says today is she failed the people of Chicago, and she failed the office of the prosecutorial there in Chicago. So very disappointed that she didn't make the right choice, because we could have had this taken care of a lot sooner.
Yeah, and joining us as long as Xavier and Laura, we have Derek Lewis, our BNC correspondent, who's on the ground there outside of the courthouse there in Chicago. And Derek, what are you hearing right now now that the verdict is known, what's going on with Jussie Smollett, and have any people talked to you at all about the outcome of this trial?
Yeah, well, so far, last check, Jussie Smollett is still inside the federal courthouse here behind me. We have not seen much action since he walked inside the courthouse before that verdict was read. Again, 5 guilty counts and 1 not guilty charge in terms of disorderly conduct. Now, we know that this entire time, Jussie Smollett has been maintaining his innocence, saying that this actually happened and that he was not lying and that he was telling the police the truth. Every time he talked to an officer about what happened, and even follow-up questions when police actually went to him later on, weeks after this attack allegedly happened, he stayed with his story. But we do know that the jurors did not believe that. After deliberating and discussing this case for a total of 9 hours over the past 2 days, they have come back with guilty verdicts, 5 out of 6 counts. Now, I want to show you, just to set the scene here, what's happening here behind me. Melvin, if you can show us what's happening here. This is the federal courthouse where things are right now, and it is just very quiet here. Not much action.
What happened? Okay.
Right now,
go ahead.
there is an SUV that is parked in front of the steps of the courthouse. Other than that, all the reporters, all the cameramen and women, they are not present as they were earlier today. Throughout the day, a lot of people waiting and anticipating what would happen, what would be the verdict here after the jury had been deliberating for such a while on this case. Many people did not think that the deliberations would take as long as it did. But again, it did take 9 hours for them to come to this decision. Right now, we have to wait some time before a sentence is decided on what will happen in terms of Jussie Smollett's future. But again, right now, guilty on 5 counts of disorderly conduct. Kelly?
Derek, thank you for your reporting there outside of the Cook County District Court house.
All right, pause right there, Shakita. Pause right there. Okay, thank you. Now, it was suspected in all of this, it was suspected that the motivating factor behind all this, and I remember when this story broke back in January 2019, it was suspected that Jussie Smollett staged this hoax to try to gain sympathy to increase the salary he was getting from the TV show Empire. Okay, so we saw how that worked out. They removed him from the show. Read this article here from the Associated Press. Explainer: what charges did Jussie Smollett face at trial? What charges did Jussie Smollett face at trial? Goes through and breaks down the charges also. Okay, Shakira, this is what we're gonna do. We run out of time. Let's go to the Red Fox clip from the Flip Wilson show. The day is Red Fox's birthday. This story here dealing with the crazy moms in Tennessee. We'll deal with that. We'll after the show. Let's go to the clip from the Flip Wilson show, 1974. Red Fox on the Flip Wilson show. Happy birthday, Red Fox.
It's my pleasure to welcome back to the Flip Wilson show the wealthiest black junk man in America, Mr. Red Fox. Thank you very much for your applause. And a lot of you never saw me go in prison, maybe just in television, but you're going to love me. First of all, it's a brief synopsis. College. A slight autobiography of me. I was born in December of 1922. I might look older, but it was 1922. Some of you might look better than I do. I don't care how good you look in the face, your heart knows how long it's been pumping. And one morning your heart wakes up and says, I ain't going to work today. We were cool in St. Louis, that's my hometown. We were P-O-O-O, O-O-O, O-O-O-O-O-R. were poor. We were poor in 1929, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38, 39, and 40, 41, and 42, 44, and 45. So pretty, how you doing? My people, I love black women. You see me with a white woman, I'm holding her for the police. I went to school for a while and then I quit. This is my autobiography still.
All right. We're out of time here on Nancy on Superstation WFDF. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting for a few more minutes. We're going to finish that clip and deal quickly with this update in this story dealing with the right-wing moms for liberty that were trying to get books banned, dealing with Dr. King and Ruby Bridges, and the Tennessee education officials rejected their complaint. Thank God. I mean, some crazy stuff going on in the South, but thank God they had enough sense to do that. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And we have the bundle pack. You can register for both classes for only $70. Email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization. Remember, at the African History Network. Oh, I'll be on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday. We'll talk about it on Sunday. We're on 9 p.m., 11 p.m. on Sundays. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win. We'll count it forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. Okay, stand by, everybody. Stand by. Let me cue this clip up here dealing with we're going to go to this clip here with we'll hit this story quickly here with the Tennessee Education or Department. Okay, we'll deal with this, and this is a crazy story here. Now, we talked about, if you remember back in September, we talked about this story. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort because they're white. Okay, because they're white. And we talked about Robin Steinman, this woman here. And I wish I can close this ad here. Okay. We talked about Robin Steinman. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort because they're white. They say a new law backs them up. Now, this was an article from CNN from September 29th, 2021. And what they did back in June was they filed an 11-page report based upon the new law that was passed in Tennessee. That's an anti-critical race theory law. In May of 2021, Governor Bill Lee signed HB 580, a law aimed at banning so-called critical race theory from schools. Educators argue that critical race theory is not taught or included in the K through 12 curriculum and is usually an elective class in college or law school. Section 51, Part 6 of the Tennessee law, if we can scroll down to this here, section, let me see, where's the CNN article? Okay, section 51, Part 6 of the Tennessee law makes lesson plans illegal if students feel discomfort, guilt, or anguish. If students feel discomfort, guilt, or anguish. This is based upon the law that was, this is for the state of Tennessee, based upon the law that was signed in the law in May of 2021 by Governor Bill Lee, Republican, of course, of Tennessee. Now, Robin Stedman, who's the chair of the right-wing organization Moms for Liberty, Robin Stedman says Williamson County curriculum makes students feel bad about their race, meaning the law should be invalidated. The law should be invalidated. The Tennessee Department of Education declined a request for comment from CNN on the complaint. Now, this was back in this article from September. Okay. So what happened was back in June, they filed a complaint. Okay. Now there's an article from BET, this one here, that gives an update on this story, on what happened. So Tennessee Education Department rejects right-wing moms group complaint under state's anti-critical race theory law. They wanted books about Martin Luther King Jr. and Ruby Bridges banned. They wanted books about Martin Luther King Jr. and Ruby Bridges banned. Now, this article here from BET is from December 1st, 2021. They cite the article in the Tennessean, the publication, the Tennessee newspaper, the Tennessean. I tried to access that article, but I need a subscription. I got to pay $29 a month for a subscription to the Tennessean, and I already paid Washington Post, New York Times, National Geographic, and some other outlets for subscriptions so I can access their articles. So I don't think I want to pay that subscription to the Tennessean, but the Tennessee Department of Education declined recently to investigate a right-wing mothers group's complaint that the curriculum in their school district violates a new state law aimed at banning critical race theory in classrooms, the Tennessean reports. The Tennessean reports. Robin Stedman, chair of Moms for Liberty, Williamson County chapter, filed the 11-page complaint in June of 2021. It alleges that wit and wisdom literacy curriculum used by Williamson County has a quote unquote heavily biased agenda, on how it teaches about racism in America and the civil rights movement. Now, the group has a problem with books adapted for young learners on subjects like Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington and the autobiography of Ruby Bridges, the autobiography of Ruby Bridges, who faced a white mob that attempted to bar the then 6-year-old from integrating an all-white New Orleans elementary school in 1960. And it was a book for children about Ruby Bridges that they're trying to ban, that Ruby Bridges wrote herself. Now, in a November 23rd, 2021 letter, the department responded, quote, "Please note that in declining to investigate these claims, the department has not made a determination regarding the merits of these allegations. We encourage you to work with the Williamson County School District to resolve the issues and concerns related to your complaint and ensure compliance with state law. Now, critical race theory is an academic framework to analyze systemic racism that is not typically taught in elementary school. It's not taught in K through 12 in the first place. It's a legal analysis taught in law schools, graduate schools. Okay, it's taught at the college level some, but basically graduate schools and especially law school. It's not taught in K through 12. Developed in the 1970s and 1980s by the former Harvard law professor Derek Bell, critical race theory examines how racism is embedded in institutions to protect white dominance, according to the New York Times. It challenges the idea that racism exists only at the individual level. Rather, racism is systemic across the nation's education, criminal justice, and other systems. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race, which comes out of the ideology of European white supremacy. Republicans across the nation are using fear of critical race theory as a political weapon to stir their voting base, according to the Associated Press, because they don't have any policies to really benefit people. So they're going to just run on fear and, critical race theory, banning books, the big lie, things like this, because they don't have any policies that are really beneficial to the majority of Americans. Tennessee's GOP lawmakers introduced a ban on schools from instructing students that one race is responsible for the past actions against another race, race privilege, or that the United States is fundamentally racist, USA Today reported. Similar efforts were made in other states, including Texas and Idaho. So read this piece here from BT.com. Tennessee Education Department rejects right-wing mom's complaint under state's anti-critical race theory law. So it's good that they rejected this idiotic complaint. It's good that Tennessee rejected this idiotic complaint. Okay. And when you go through and look at, and we'll talk about this some more on our Sunday show, because we have 2 hours on our Sunday show. So I already basically have the topics lined up for the Sunday show. It's going to be a jam-packed 2 hours. If you go through and look at the books they were trying to ban, there was 4 books that they were focused on. Stedman doesn't like a lot of the curriculum at Robin Stedman, this woman here, holding up Ruby Bridges' book. These people are going after Ruby Bridges, Dr. King, and Toni Morrison. They don't have any policies that are beneficial to people, generally speaking. They're trying to ban Dr. King, Ruby Bridges, Toni Morrison books. False claims of critical race theory. But if we look at this here, now banning books is just like a step before burning books, just so people understand. But we look at this. Robin Stedman doesn't like a lot of the curriculum at Williamson County Schools, but 4 books in the second grade lessons, in the second grade lesson plans, are the target of her campaign. 4 books in the second grade lesson plans are the target of her campaign. Okay, now 3 of the books about the civil rights movement are problematic for the way they're taught, she says. One is a children's book about the March on Washington written for young readers. Oh, yeah, they're teaching about domestic terrorists trying to overthrow the government. They want equality. Oh, run. Yeah, we got to ban that. Oh, it's Dr. King and John Lewis. These black radicals. They want fairness. How dare you? We can't teach little children about that. They want like equality for everybody. Oh, we can't teach kids about that. So this is the dumbest ass thing I've seen in my life. But okay, let me pull this up here. Okay, so Ruby Bridges was being blocked from entering the school by white supremacists. So you don't want school children to learn about how white people were attacking this African American girl, because it may make the white children feel bad. It may make the white children feel bad. You don't want them to find out what white people were doing to this 6-year-old girl and trying to keep her from just going to school to get education, because it may make white children feel bad. So 3 of the books about the civil rights movement are problematic for the way they're taught, she says. Now, she doesn't, Robin Stedman, for all the research I've done on her, she doesn't have like degrees in education, or she's not a paraprofessional. She has no degrees in education, anything like that. I haven't seen any, I don't think she's ever taught in school. I don't even think she's ever been a lunch lady. Okay. So just so people understand. I haven't read anything that says she has experience writing curriculums or anything. But 3 of the books about the civil rights movement are problematic for the way they're taught, she says. One is a children's book about the March on Washington, written for young readers. 2 books tell the story of Ruby Bridges, a 6-year-old who integrated an elementary school in New Orleans in 1960. The book Ruby Bridges Goes to School, written for elementary students by Ruby Bridges herself, is fine for kids, Robin Stedman says. She has to admit. But she says teachers should not be allowed to lead discussions on the pictures in the book, one of which is the famous Norman Rockwell painting of Ruby Bridges. The U.S. Marshals who had to protect Ruby Bridges from angry white segregationists and the ugly slur hurled at her by adults. Quote, there's no need to emphasize it, she says, of the slur. Just, if they want to read this book has a famous painting, fine, and then just move on. So you're afraid that white children's feelings are going to be hurt. It's like, wait a second, hold on. So see, Republicans don't have any policies that they can run under the beneficial, like to America. So they're going to run on critical race theory. They're against defund the police. Okay, they're not going to run on criminal justice reform. They're not going to run on none of that. They're going to run on banning. They're going to run on banning books, the big lie, critical race theory. That's going to be their platform. So, okay, so read the rest of this here. This was the article from 2019. It was from September 2021 we talked about. And it dealt with them filing the complaint with the Tennessee Department of Education. Luckily, the Tennessee Department of Education had enough sense to decline to investigate this nonsense they were talking about. Now, also, there was now this article from BET was from December 1st, 2021. There was also one from salon.com that I read as well. And this is from November 30th, 2021. This article from salon.com is called Right Wing Moms Group wants to use Tennessee's, let me pull this up, wants to use Tennessee's critical race theory law to ban MLK Jr. book. This is from salon.com. And I want to, let me see, we still have that one up. I want to look at the complaint they had against the book dealing with Dr. King and the March on Washington, because one of the complaints they have is like the racism that they were fighting against. Where is that here? Can I find that? Okay, so they had a problem with the students are sitting there listening to this, and they're hearing this other part here. So there was a book dealing with discrimination that Mexicans faced also. They ain't like that one either. Okay, and then Norman Rockwell. All right, the debate over. Okay, so this book right here dealt with discrimination that Mexicans faced, and Separate is never equal. Separate is never equal, a picture book about a landmark legal case that integrated the Southern California schools in the 1940s. The book should be banned, Robin Stedman says, because it features contemporaneous quotes uttered by white segregationists in court. It features contemporaneous quotes uttered by white segregationists in court. They referring to the students are sitting there listening to this, and all they're hearing is Mexicans are dirty, inferior in scholastic ability. Sounds like Donald Trump, but anyway. They have skin problems and lice, and it just goes on and on about it. Okay. I'm not sure if it says they bring drugs into the country and have disease, and some of them may be fine people, but I'm not sure if it says that. It sounds a lot like Donald Trump. Robin Stedman said as she flipped through the pages, quote, and I submit that's what they're going to take from that book because they're just not ready, end quote. So she's a school psychologist all of a sudden and everything, and educational expert and expert on reading children's minds. This idea that second graders can't handle history, that hearing about it could in fact make them racist or hate their own race, is central to the Moms for Liberty complaint against the Williamson County Public Schools. Now, the author of the book, Separate is Never Equal, is Duncan Tonatia, and he's an award-winning author of the book. Here's a picture of him, okay? And there's a couple pages from his book. He said, he told CNN, the villain here is racism and segregation. And he said this while flipping through pages of his book, Separate is Never Equal. He said, at the end of the book, what I wanted to show is the Mexican-American children and the white children being in school together and playing together and interacting with each other. Now, he has won a number of awards for writing engaging stories for a young audience. He said he's read the book to many elementary school students, and the response has been nothing like what Robin Stedman fears. He said, when I shared the story with kids, I don't see kids saying, oh, this makes me feel shame. He said, they say, that's not right. That's not fair. That's not how people should treat people. That's the reaction that I get. Okay, so read the rest of this article here. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort because they're white. They say a new law backs them up. So they want to remove the books. And the books they want to remove basically deal with like African-American history, civil rights movement, mistreatment of Mexicans. And it's like they want to remove that because they're afraid about hurting white children's feelings. All right. And then the article from salon.com was, let me see, take down that ad. This is from November 30th, 2021 from salon.com. This is a big article on this story here as well. Right-wing moms group wants to use Tennessee's critical race theory law to ban MLK Jr. book. Moms for Liberty claim that teaching the history of civil rights has traumatized white children. Moms for Liberty claim that teaching the history of civil rights has traumatized white children. How do you think our children feel? I mean, you see, these are the culture wars that Republicans are pushing because they don't have policies that are beneficial for people. So they're going to push these culture wars to take back control of the House of Representatives, try to take back control of the Senate. They don't have good policies to run on. And then go back to this article here, critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. And this is a 16-page expose by NBC News that goes through and breaks all this stuff down. It deals with the dark money behind financing this movement and how they're training these people to organize these parent groups, and how they're training them to go take over school boards, run for school board office, things like this, so they can control local school boards, etc. Okay. This goes through and breaks all this stuff down. This is from June 15, 2021. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'm going to go back to the clip from the Flip Wilson show, dealing with Red Foxx. We know today is Red Fox's birthday. You're watching the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. And African American business owners, email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or to book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
Health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
He was born to. Okay, stand by. Okay, can you hear me? Should be able to hear me. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. All right. With volume back. Refresh your screen. Okay. All right. So John Elroy Sanford, better known to the world as Red Foxx. Now, he passed away October 11th, 1991. I remember when he passed away because I was in college. I was at school at the time and got the news that he had passed away. His website, his official website is redfox.com, redfox.com. And they have a bio there also at his website. Now, this picture here is from the National R&B Music Society, Inc., and we post information from them dealing with celebrity birthdays. And they have a brief write-up on him also from the National R&B Music Society, Inc. as well. If we go to this here, so he was born John Elroy Sanford. He was a stand-up comedian and actor. He gained success with his nightclub acts, known as the King of the Party Records. He performed on more than 50 records in his lifetime. He portrayed Fred G. Sanford on the television show Sanford and Son, and starred in the Red Fox Show and the Royal Family as well, Royal Family and the Red Fox Show on ABC. His film projects included All the Fine Young Cannibals in 1960, Cotton Comes to Harlem in 1970, Norman Is That You 1976, and Harlem Nights 1989. He would have been 99 years old today. Now, also, December 8th was the birthday of one Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson, fantastic entertainer, and he was the host of the Flip Wilson Show. Okay, Flip Wilson was born December 8th, 1933. December 8th, 1933. He passed away November 25th, 1998. Okay, Flip Wilson. And I want to go to this clip here from the Flip Wilson Show. Now, Flip Wilson was, and let me pull this up here just a second. All right. Now, Flip Wilson was a comedian and actor best known for his television appearances during the late 1960s and 1970s. From 1970 to 1974, Flip Wilson hosted his own weekly variety series, The Flip Wilson Show, and introduced viewers to his recurring character, Geraldine. I remember Geraldine. What you see is what you get. Geraldine, I'm not an advocate of men dressing up as women, but Geraldine was funny as hell. I'm serious. Geraldine. There's this one episode where Geraldine is talking to Muhammad Ali. Okay. And Geraldine was hilarious. And Geraldine, her boyfriend's name was Killer. What you see is what you get. Okay. The series earned Flip Wilson a Golden Globe and 2 Emmy Awards, and at one point was the second highest rated show on network television. Flip Wilson was the first African American to host a successful variety TV show. The first African American to host a successful variety TV show. In January 1972, Time magazine featured Flip Wilson's image on its cover and named him TV's first Black superstar. So rest in peace to Flip Wilson. He was born December 8th, 1933. And then also December 8th, 1925. December the 8th was also the birth date of Sammy Davis Jr. Okay, Sammy Davis Jr. as well. And we'll pull that picture up also. We posted this on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. So I remember when Sammy Davis Jr. passed away as well, and I remember they had Bill Cosby wore the SD button on the Cosby Show when he was like really sick. Sammy Davis Jr. was really sick, and Sammy Davis Jr. was on an episode of the Cosby Show as Mr. Palomino. He played a man who was illiterate and had a granddaughter that was going to have a child. Let's flip over to this here on, I posted this on Facebook, and we'll go to the National R&B Music Society's Facebook page also. Okay, so remembering Samuel George Davis Jr. Samuel George Davis Jr. On the day of his birth, singer, musician, dancer, actor. He was born December 8th, 1955. Sammy Davis Jr. And let's change this. Let's change this caption here. All right, so he was a singer, dancer, actor. He did it all. Musician, dancer, actor, vaudevillian, and comedian. He was noted for his impressions of actors, musicians, and other celebrities. At the age of three, Samuel George Davis Jr. began his career in vaudeville, and his father, Sammy Davis Sr., and the Will Maston Trio, which toured nationally. After military service, Sammy Davis Jr. returned to the trio. Davis became an overnight sensation following a nightclub performance at Ciro's after the 1951 Academy Awards. Now, with the trio, he began a recording. He became a recording artist. With the trio, in 1954, he lost his left eye in a car accident, and several years later, he converted to Judaism, finding commonalities between the oppression experienced by African Americans and Jewish communities. Okay, so rest in peace also Sammy Davis Jr., born December 8th, 1925. He passed away May 16th, 1990. All right, so I want to go back to this clip here from the Flip Wilson show from 1974. And this is Red Foxx, John Elroy Sanford, on the Flip Wilson show from February 28th, 1974. Let's go back to this clip.
It's my pleasure to welcome back to the Flip Wilson show the wealthiest black junk man in America, Mr. Red Foxx. Thank you very much for your applause. And a lot of you never saw me going prison, maybe just from television, but you're going to love me. First of all, just a brief synopsis. College. A slight autobiography of me. I was born, and that was in December of 1922. I might look older, but it was 1922. Some of you might look better than I do. I don't care how good you look in the face, your heart knows how long it's been pumping. And one morning your heart wakes up and says, I ain't going to work today. We were poor in St. Louis, that's my hometown. We were P-O-O-O, O-O-O, O-O-O-O-O-O. We were poor in 1929, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45, 6. Yeah, baby. So pretty. How you doing? My people, I love Black Moon. See me with the white woman, I'm holding from the police. I went to school for a while and then I split. This is my autobiography still. And I got old enough to get married. And my first wife, I had a 1942 Buick. and her. And I left both of them to come to California. Didn't hurt too bad because neither one of them was working. Moving right along. That's always a good thing. I married again. This time, I really fell in love. And then my wife started putting on weight. From 110 to 312. 312 pounds at this very moment. Waiting for me to come home so I can get sick. 312. She thinks I love her because when she gets in the bed, I roll toward her. I like to give people who are not married women advice. If you decide to marry, get an ugly woman. Then when she leaves you, you'll be happy. I like ugly women anyway, because they don't ask for too much. Because they know they ain't going nowhere. I'm not kidding you. My wife, now, she's not a beautiful woman, because you're not supposed to look at a woman like that. But I have a friend. I want you to know how she looks. Ray Charles went by my house and see my wife. He said she was ugly and brave. That's enough about my wife. We get on another subject. Some truths. Not anything that would be abstract to any religion or race of people. Because I'm something. But I want to say this about whites and shit about black people. I want to clear it up tonight and forever. White friends, black people do not all look alike. It is you that all look alike. I'm going to prove it. I make a statement, I'll prove it for you. Now, white friends, look all around the room. All the whites look at each other. See there? All of y'all are just white. Now look at us. All different colors. Black walnut. Burnt almond. Chocolate. Chocolate mocha. Peacock. Vanilla. Yellow, mellow, light, bright, and damn near white. See, a lot of whites think black people talk bad, but you fail to realize that some of the whites taught Africans English. Africans didn't know nothing about this here and and yonder, and go on and get it and and Cardinal, they didn't know nothing about that. Southern whites taught them. Hey, boy, get that there yonder. Get that trunk there, boy, and chunk it over here. Get the gas. Chunk it over here. Africans say, Uma. Which means, chunk that trunk yourself. Unsafe to speak to America today. I want to mention that because it's very important. You realize, I guess you know it because it wasn't in the paper. A Negro tried to stick me up last night. A Negro gonna stick up a black man. Now wasn't that dumb? A Negro gonna rob Zorro. He jumped out the alley, didn't have a gun, a pipe, or a brick. All he knew was karate. Jumped out there and said, stick up. I got a black belt. I said, we don't need it to lower you in the ground. We're going to do something that we've never done before with you on the show. What we're going to do is we're going to take some questions from the audience. There are quite a few things about you that people would like to know. Is it? Certainly, certainly. So we're just going to just stay loose and let them fire away.
I'd like to ask Red Fox if Lamont will get married during the filming of
anywhere in 76. Well, I myself have never aligned myself with any political party, and politics is a completely different bag. It's politicians who start wars. I'm in the love business.
Here, let me back that up because it was I was trying to make an adjustment here to try to reduce the hissing. This is an old video, but I was getting some feedback here, so let me back that up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Question for both of you. Will either one of you be a candidate?
We're going to do something that we've never done before with you on the show. What we're going to do is we're going to take some questions from the audience. There are quite a few things about you that people would like to know. Is it? Certainly, certainly. So we're just going to just stay loose and let them fire away.
I'd like to ask Red Fox if Lamont will get married during the filming of Sanford and Son.
Not about Kevin. Yeah.
All right, Sister Red Fox. Is it true that you have a Christmas tree in your living room?
Yes. Right. Okay, Christmas every day if you want to believe it. Why they have friends just once a year? That's right. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Question for both of you. Will either one of you be a candidate for office in 76?
If we do, we're going to kick over. The office, you mean political?
Yeah.
I have no idea about going anywhere in 76. Well, I myself have never aligned myself with any political party, and politics is a completely different bag. It's politicians who start wars. I'm in the love business.
Who gave you your first big break, and is Clero your real name?
Clero is my real name, and I think that was probably my first big break because I had to try to let that down.
For both. Do you have any hobbies? Do you collect anything?
Yeah, chicks.
Look, what's your favorite monologue?
My favorite monologue is the one that I'm going to do on my first special next year. I'm working on it. Best is yet to come.
I'd like to ask Mr. Red Fox about a record that I have that he made about jackasses, and I'd like to know if it would be a... It's a party record, and I'd like to know what year it was made, and if it's a collector's item.
1956.
1956? So it's a collector's item, basically. That's great. I got it at a swap meet.
Yeah, it's hard to find. Question for Red. Is Red your real name, or what is your real name?
My legal name. My real name is John Elroy Sanford. When I was born, my brother's name was Fred Glenn Sanford, and I played Fred Sanford on television. Two boys in the family, that's where it's at.
Mr. Wilson's father?
As my father? No, I'd have to say that Red has always been a mother to me.
All right, that's from the Flip Wilson show. February 28th, 1974. All right, so and as I said before, so he had a brother. His brother's name was Fred G. Sanford, Fred Glenn Sanford. So he played Fred G. Sanford on Sanford and Son. His birth name was John Elroy Sanford, better known as Red Fox. Visit his the official Red Fox website, redfox.com. Official website of Red Fox, REDDFOXX.com. And they have a bio there, pictures, licensing, photos, all types of information here at redfox.com. Okay, photos, everything. All right, so check that out. Okay, look, we have to get out of here. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you like the type of historical information we share, you can register for the online courses I teach on Saturdays and Sundays, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. It's a 10-week online course. Each class we go through and analyze approximately a 10-year period of time, sometimes more than 10 years. And I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, all of that. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. We do this Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Class is regularly $130. It's on sale right now, $50. But you can register. We have a special bundle pack for a little while longer. You can register for both online courses that I teach, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I teach that on Sundays. You can register for both classes right now for only $70. As soon as you register, you can watch the previous classes and you can join us in class this weekend. Okay, so that's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I'll also post the link here for the bundle pack as well. And you can even use this information with your children. I would say the information is PG-13. And we have book references, articles. I do a PowerPoint presentation, so it's very engaging. We have video clips, so it's a lot of references and articles you can go read on your own, and book references, etc. You don't have to buy any of these books to follow along in class, but if you want to build a library or share this information with your children, this will help you. Okay, and then if you'd like to stop your information, also you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show. We're here 6 days a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, etc. This is our when you go to our Cash App account, $ the AHN Show, SHOW, it'll say Michael and show my picture there. The rest of these are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. And then we have the information at our website as well. And then if you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. And we'll let you know. You can email us. We'll let you know how you can advertise with us. Our current promotion is buy 1 month, get 2 months free. Buy 1 month, get 2 months free. And your ad will re-air on the rebroadcast of our shows, and then also in the audio podcast of our shows as well. I'm on 10 different podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, iTunes, CastBox, FM Player, TuneIn, etc. Okay, we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behaviors. Not over till we win. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. Kwanzaa is coming, and the KwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs. Order your Kwanzaa set today, which includes a kinara, candles, a mat, a cup, the African American flag, and a basket. Visit TheAHNShow.com, TheAHNShow.com. They have Kanara sets, which include a candle holder, candles, a mat, and a cup. Kwanzaa is December 26th through January the 1st. Add the early bird discount code for 10% off your order placed before November 28th. Visit TheAHNShop.com and place your order today. TheAHNShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs to celebrate this African American Pan-African holiday. TheAHNShop.com.
Black on Purpose Television Network. Yes, Black on Purpose Television Network. All black, all positive, all the time. The largest black-owned streaming television network in the world. Bringing our people together worldwide. Controlling our messages, our stories, our way. Black TV the way it should be. Black music, Black history, and more. 30 plus channels, thousands of shows. Black on Purpose Television Network. Subscribe.